Hey, this is Leo for Actualized.org. In this video, what I want to talk about is ways that technology can be used to advance your personal development. So what do I mean by this? I think that I'm going to make this short and sweet and straight to the point, and just give a couple of examples in ways that I've been personally able to use technology to help me advance my growth, and contrast it with ways that technology is actually counterproductive. Because I think that a lot of people go out there and they buy gadgets, and those gadgets they think they're going to get a lot of benefit from, and they're going to get a lot of personal growth from, but they end up not. And so I want to compare and contrast what the differences are between using technology to advance yourself and not. And I think that there are very legitimate uses for where technology can be used to give you a lot of personal growth really fast. And so that's great in modern times. We have so many gadgets, so much technology. The trick is not so much in the technology. It's not that technology is going to solve the problem. It's the thinking that you're going to have to put into it to use the technology as a tool to get you to some sort of end. So what you have to do is you have to make the bridge between the technology that you're buying and what you want it to accomplish for you. And then, of course, you have to make that connection there. So let's give a couple of examples. There's been a lot of times where I've bought technology and I thought that I would be happier because of it, and I didn't get any happier. In fact, I was very let down by it. And usually that happens because you just buy a gadget and you think that just because it's sitting there on your shelf or on your desk, that it's going to be doing some work for you. And that tends not to be the case, unless you go out there and you deliberately think about this. So let me give you an example. One purchase that really surprised me that I made a few years back was that I bought a notebook. So I just bought a MacBook Air laptop. And before that, I didn't really have any mobile computing. I was just, I had my cell phone, but I was doing all my computing just on a desktop. And that notebook, buying that notebook had made a huge change in my personal development, because the reason I actually bought it, I didn't just buy a notebook, I bought it because I wanted to journal, and I wanted to have an extensive journal, really a commonplace book, and I talk about commonplace books in the blueprint and other videos. You can find it there. But I wanted to really have one repository where I can be putting all my ideas together. Because what was happening up until that point in my life is that I would always be having ideas. I'm a pretty creative kind of person. So I'm always thinking about stuff, analyzing, having ideas for business, having ideas for what I want to be doing with my life, etc. And just things that I'm running across in books and seminars and people. And what I wanted to do was start to compile them together. And actually what I was doing was that I had just reams of paper, just plain white paper, like printer paper that I was using to take notes on, and I ended up having stacks of this stuff. It would accumulate over the years and the months, and I would just have stacks of these notes that I take on books, ideas that I have. And what happened was that it got so big, it was just impossible to file it. It was impossible to review it. It was just very cumbersome and clunky, and therefore I felt like I needed more organization to this whole process. And so I thought that what would be nice would be to have this on something small and portable that I could carry around with me and that I could conveniently use when I'm sitting on my couch. And see, this is what I mean, is this was a specific problem that I had, because I was lazy and I didn't want to sit in front of a computer, like a desktop, at my desk, at my chair, because I would already spend 8-10 hours a day working at my desktop, and I didn't want to then go back and journal and do my note-taking and all that also on the desktop. It was just bad for my posture. I didn't want to sit at my computer that long. I had eye strain, and I wanted to be able to be in other rooms. I wanted to be able to transport this thing. So for me, that was a specific problem, and I remember at that point I was wondering, is buying this laptop, this notebook, and this MacBook Air was fairly expensive. It was like $1,300. Was it really going to lead to personal growth for me, or was that just a justification to get me to buy a new gadget? Because we all like to buy new gadgets, new things, and then we buy them, and then we forget about them, and they just collect dust. I didn't want that to be happening, especially with a $1,300 purchase, because I tend to be pretty frugal. I want to use my money effectively. What ended up happening though was that in this case, it turned out really well, and I was so surprised by how much growth I got out of this. Because what I did is that I transcribed all of my notes through a long process from paper into my notebook, and then from then on, I spent the next few years really organizing all my thoughts on all my ideas and creating a really robust commonplace book and also journal that I was able to use for all sorts of things, from business to my personal life to relationships. Just compiling all that together and having a way to organize it for me in a notebook was huge. And I'm still using it to this day, and it's still one of my most powerful tools right now. And this is one of the examples. Eben Peg, and I kind of stole this idea from him, is he talks about using the limited willpower that you get every day, putting it to use to create external circumstances in your life that will create the necessary enforcement that is going to get you trained and doing the things that you need to be doing. Because you do have limited willpower, and your willpower runs out as the day progresses. And what tends to happen is that most people waste that willpower in putting it into the wrong places. They worry about a relationship, they worry about some petty problem that they have, they get mad at someone, they bicker with someone, or they waste it watching TV. Instead, what you want to be doing is you want to be doing these kinds of things where, for example, you're thinking about, okay, what do I need? Oh, I need a journal. And if I can get a laptop, for example, that's going to be convenient for me to sit there and use on the couch, then my brain is going to want to actually do that. Whereas right now, my brain doesn't want to be sitting at a desktop for an extra 2 hours after I've already been sitting there for 10 hours, which would make 12 hours. It's too tiring. I'm not going to do it. So you kind of have to find these ways of making life a little easier for you. And that's not where I think technology can be great, is that it can be used very strategically to create these kind of downhill slopes for yourself, where you're not constantly having to battle uphill to improve your life. A couple of other examples that I'll just throw out here, just to give you a little bit of a bigger list. I think, for example, if you're going to the gym and you're starting a new gym routine, and you're finding going to the gym boring and you're finding it painful, then, for example, getting an iPod and putting a bunch of your favorite songs on it would be a really great way to use technology to get yourself to do something that is challenging at first, building a gym routine. And even if you're a veteran gym goer, sometimes one of the problems you get as a veteran is that you just get so bored because you're always doing the same things. Even if you're varying your routine up, it can still get boring and tiring. And so having something on your iPod there that you can play is really nice. Or if you're using a smartphone, that can also work. But there's two components to it. It's one is having the device. The second component is really having the music, or maybe you prefer audio programs, maybe you prefer some sort of meditation track, maybe you prefer some sort of nature sounds, whatever works for you. So figuring out what that is and then actually putting it in place, if you don't have it, that can make your life at the gym much easier. So I think that's another great use of technology there. A couple of other uses that I found in my own life, and these can be very simple things. These don't have to be expensive purchases. For example, for me, I had a problem that I started taking a lot of supplements. I got into taking supplements, and then if you've ever gone down that route, what happens is you start with just taking 3 supplements, then it goes to 5 supplements, 10 supplements, 20 supplements. Right now, I'm taking over 50 supplements every day. So it's like 50 pills. And what happened with me there is that it got too tedious, literally, to go to the medicine cabinet and pull out 50 bottles and get each one, unscrew it, take out a pill, swallow it. It was just too tedious. That would take like 20 minutes to do every day, and I didn't want to do that. So I found myself not sticking with my habits and my goals of taking certain supplements every day. And so I was struggling with that for a long time until I discovered the very simple solution, which I should have really discovered much sooner, of using a pill box. Basically, it's just like a plastic box with 7 slots in it, 1 slot for each day of the week, where what you can do is once a week, instead of doing this every day, once a week I'll pull out all my supplement bottles and I'll sort all the pills, put them into their individual compartments, and then I'll have that for the whole week. And then it's really easy. I just go into my bathroom, grab the pill box, open one compartment, and then swallow all the pills. That takes me 1 minute instead of 20. So much simpler, and that has really made it very easy for me to be taking my supplements. And so now I take them fairly regularly without a lot of problems. And that pill box ended up costing me, what, $7, something like that. I ordered it on Amazon. Actually, interesting point with this piece of technology is that the first time what I did is I bought a small pill box. And that was working for me fine until what ended up happening was that literally I had more supplements that I could cram into the slots that were there because it was kind of small. And what that did is that prevented me from buying more supplements because I said, well, I have like about 10 supplements now and I just can't stuff any more into these boxes, into these little slots. And again, it was kind of stupid on my part because it was pretty obvious what the solution should have been. The solution should have been get a bigger box. But at that point, I didn't really know that I could get a bigger box or that bigger boxes existed. And so it really took me months of struggle again, which kind of halted my growth with supplements, is that I was stuck there at like 10 pills, even though I wanted to buy more because my box was limiting me. And so what happened was that, again, a couple of months passed and I was slipping up. I wasn't as excited about researching supplements because I felt like I was maxed out. And then only a few months later did I realize, after some introspection, that there's probably a bigger box out there somewhere. And it took me time to go find it because I really needed a big one. And I ended up going on Amazon, researching it, finding a really huge one that's like a foot long, and it can fit literally like 100 different pills in it in each little compartment. And so now I bought that one, and for me now that's giving me room to grow. Now I've ballooned from 10 supplement pills a day to like 50. And I feel I still have room to grow there. So that right there, those multiple purchases and kind of upgrading the pill box was huge for me. That really advanced me, even though those were really small purchases. So the point with this example being that you don't need to go some outlandish route and go buy something really, really fancy or expensive to get a lot of growth from this tool, because even a very simple tool can empower you. It might be something as simple as going out there and right now, if you don't have a nice diary that you can journal in, and if you are the type of person that likes the feel of a nice diary and you like the look of a nice like leather bound high quality diary, then maybe what you got to do is you got to go out and splurge on one. You know, if it costs $50 to buy a really nice diary, so what? If that's what it's going to take to actually get you to sit down and write in it, just because you like the way it feels, then that's what it takes. You know, and sometimes you have to indulge yourself a little bit because it's kind of like bribing yourself. You know, it's kind of like giving yourself a little carrot, a little incentive to be doing the hard work that you're going to be doing by writing in this diary all the time. And if you just have a couple of loose sheets of paper, you're probably not going to be as excited and motivated to sit down and journal every day as you would be if you had a really nice spiral-bound diary. Or maybe for you, you don't like writing. You don't like handwriting. You feel that that's archaic. So maybe for you, it is that notebook or an iPad or whatever it is, putting it in a digital format, right? And then, of course, finding the right software that makes you feel good about using it. So that can be also an important kind of avenue where you can go down with a technology route. So I think those are some good examples. I could probably throw out a bunch of other ones. One other one that actually I will throw out there that I've been doing recently is that I felt like I could better use my time in the shower and my morning ritual when I'm going to the bathroom and shaving and showering and doing all that stuff, is I felt like I could use that time for some personal development. And so what I thought I would do is I would listen to some audio tapes, seminars, various programs that I have, and I was thinking about how do I actually do that in the shower so that it's convenient and practical. And what I ended up figuring out was that I can get one of those, they sell these little like docking stations. I got a Philips one, but they have like Bose little docking stations, and you can slide your iPod in there or you can slide your iPhone into it. And what I did is I ended up having a little iPod Touch that I slide in there, and this thing can run on batteries, so I can take it into the bathroom and it'll run on batteries for a long time, and I ended up paying like $100 for this thing. But it was really well worth it because now I can take this little it's like a little boom box, I can take it into the bathroom, and if I'm showering and doing my morning routine for 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes of listening to seminars or audios that I can get, into my day. And actually, I've found that when I do that every single day, it kind of gets me charged up for the day, because I'm listening to this amazing, to these amazing ideas, this wisdom that's coming from some seminar or some audio tape that I have. And then when I get out of the shower, all of a sudden, I've already got ideas in my mind about stuff that I want to be doing, articles I want to be writing, videos I want to be shooting. I'm just put into like a higher consciousness state just because I do that. And to me, that's really valuable, and that's something that I really look forward to now. That's a really nice habit to have built in, and it's just enabled by making a simple $100 purchase. So what I want to basically end on here is the point that I want you to do this exercise. Sit down after this video is over, sit down, pull out a piece of paper or your journal, and I want you to write down and think about 5 different ways right now that you can use some piece of technology to really advance your own development. So whatever that is for you. Maybe it's getting a Kindle because you don't like having a bookshelf full of books. Maybe it's getting an iPad because you like sitting on the couch and being able to browse Wikipedia articles there. Or maybe it's about, getting a journal, a diary, something that you can do in the bathroom, maybe a magazine subscription you could buy. What can you do? How can you use your resources to kind of automatically put personal growth into your life? I want you to jot down 5 different ways, really think about it, and make sure that it works for you. Make sure that it's practical. A lot of times I find that I need to test this stuff out. Sometimes I think that a little gadget that I'll buy or an expensive piece of gadget that I'll buy will do the trick, and I end up finding that it's not practical and it doesn't really work. So I tend to find that, save those receipts, make sure that you buy it, you test it out, and that it actually ends up doing what you want it to be doing, right? So if you buy something for your shower, make sure that it's actually working for you and that it's convenient and you can use it. And the batteries run and all that stuff. And if you're buying a journal, make sure that your journal or your diary, you like the feel of it and that it's bound nicely and that you can actually write in it and it doesn't smudge or whatever the practical considerations are for you. So go ahead and do this exercise. Find those 5 things, those 5 gadgets or pieces of technology that you could use to improve your life, and then go out there and start with one. Pick the most the one that you think is going to be the biggest bang for your buck, and go out there and buy it and try to implement it. And just see how much you can get from that. I think that's a good way to prove to yourself that this process works. And once you do it and you have a success with one piece of technology, then you'll be able to find more. You'll be able to spot those opportunities and you'll be on the lookout for those. You'll have 4 more that are on this list, but then you'll also then have this habit for the rest of your life, is you're always going to be on the lookout. Maybe you're going to be walking through a Walmart or a Best Buy, or you're going to be browsing on the internet and you're going to see something there that might help you with your personal growth, and your brain is going to make the connection that, oh, I can use that to get this. I can use that to make my life a little bit easier so that I'm more likely to get this thing done that I've been struggling to get done. And the other way around is that if you're having a problem in your life and you keep struggling with something and you keep falling off track, and you keep struggling to make a habit, then you can always ask yourself kind of like, what kind of technology might ease that burden for me? And you can kind of think that way, and then you can go online and you can search for it and see if something like that exists. All right, so that's it. Go ahead and do this exercise. I think you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. I know I certainly have gotten a lot of benefit over the last few years from using technology for my personal development.